923 here, Big 550 KTRS. Tonight on Stephen Colbert, Eric Greitens, Missouri Eric Greitens is going to be on Stephen Colbert. He's the subject of a new book, and they're going to be talking about that. But he's also in the news because he's running for governor. And if you think that he has virtually no name recognition, people who follow this closely know who Eric Greitens is. But outside of a very small select group of people, they've never heard of Eric Greitens. And this is their first sort of introduction to Eric Greitens. He is raising millions of dollars to run a campaign to become governor of Missouri. He has never run for public office before. He is a military hero. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He's written a couple of books. He's been on Colbert a number of times. He's good friends with Jon Stewart. And there is a internet ad, which I have not played on the air, and I don't know if I'm going to or not. But it's an internet ad that's claiming that he's not conservative enough. And it's a pretty brutal ad. And he believes that John Brunner, who you may or may not know, he spent $7 million 4 years ago trying to get people to remember the name John Brunner. He's gotten more than $7 million of attention over this thing right now, but he's running for governor. He is an executive, or was an executive, with a company called Valjohn, made his millions. Now he's on the board, and he wants to become the next governor of the great state of Missouri. Eric Greitens, the young military hero, thinks that John Brunner is somehow behind this salacious, dirty military ad, calls him up and has a heated conversation with him, and then hangs up on him. Calls back shortly thereafter, and John Brunner was told, that was a heated conversation. You should record this next conversation. So they recorded it. About 10 minutes of that conversation was leaked yesterday. Here is a portion of these two trying to have a civilized conversation about this salacious, angry, dirty internet email.
Let's meet after the Marine Corps ball tonight.
Eric,
let's meet after the Marine Corps ball. John, you are so weaselly, man.
Well, Eric,
so weaselly. You're such a weasel, man.
Eric, listen, I reached out to you 2 times to talk to you. We settled on a time, and now you find there's a conflict. Eric, why do you use names in terms like this? I mean, why do you call people things like this?
You refuse to answer a question about whether or not you're responsible for this negative, cowardly attack.
Eric,
that's weaselly.
Eric,
be a man,
friend.
John. Be a man. if
Eric, you know what men do, Eric? You know what men do? They don't call people names. They sit down and talk face to face. That's what men do. They don't get on the phone and yell and call people names. And that's exactly what you've done for the last 5 minutes, is call me all kinds of names. You called me a weasel. You called me a coward. You called me all of these issues, and yet I am suggesting we sit down and talk face to face. You agreed to it. Now you call back and say you can't, and now you want me to change your schedule. When will you be back in town, Eric?
And it goes on like that for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. These are 2 men who are running to be governor of the state of Missouri, and they want to meet. Eric Greitens wants to meet so that in this conversation, he says, I want to be able to look you in the eye. And I'm assuming ask him the question and be able to get his response over whether or not he is somehow behind this internet negative ad. I got to tell you, I don't have a horse in this race. I don't have any skin in this game. I will tell you, and this is just my humble opinion, I think both of them look awful. I think they both. I get that John Brunner records the commercial. I get that John Brunner's somehow, even though he doesn't leak it to the media, somehow it's in his possession and it gets leaked. Okay, so he gets criticized for recording it. He gets criticized for, even though he didn't officially leak it, clearly somebody did something there. But Eric Greitens, I'm sorry. This is big boy. This is the big leagues, and you don't like what somebody's saying about you? Are you going to call them names and say, are you gonna? You know what? call him out. Call a news conference and call him out. But this sort of weasel, I don't know. It looks like two petulant children who were stuck in a station wagon going to the Grand Canyon. I've lived this conversation with my sisters for 18 years. Now, what's interesting about all of this is that Eric Greitens has now wrote an email to all of his supporters, and he's trying to raise money off of this campaign. So he is asking his supporters to send $7 to his campaign. Why $7? That's the number of times John Brunner hid on the call and refused to answer the direct question. So Eric Greitens is not only not embarrassed about this, he's proud of this and is actually trying to raise money off of this leaked phone conversation. I got to tell you, John Brunner, though, he doesn't come out much better. As a matter of fact, he might come out worse. He sounds like somebody who is recording a commercial who's trying to goat the other person into saying something that will really upend his campaign, right? I've met John Brunner. He's been on the show a couple times. I have no reason not to dislike the man. He seems like a very nice man. He sounds like a 6-year-old. He sounds like somebody who knows the punchline to the joke, but is or has the candy, and the child wants the candy, and he's holding the candy up high, making the child jump up high for the candy. What are you talking about? Why are you calling me names? Only real men don't call people names. It's really this is who's running for governor. And this is the conversation we're having as governor. When we don't have any roads, we don't have any schools, we don't have any health care, we don't have any jobs, we don't have any money. All of these things. And this is the thing they're arguing over. No, you said it first. No, you're a loser. No, you're a loser. No, you're a loser. Losers don't call people losers. Only losers call losers losers. So you're a loser. No, you're a loser because I'm not a loser. No, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks on you. I mean, that's the conversation they're having. So just I'm curious. Am I reading this wrong, or are other people seeing this exactly the same way? Because, quite frankly, 24 hours ago, no one ever heard of Eric Greitens. That's why he's raising millions of dollars, because he has no name recognition, and he needs name recognition. John Brunner already spent $7 million of his own money. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If he would have taken that $7 million and started a bonfire on Highway 40, he would have gotten more bang for his buck. But he spent $7 million, and less people knew him at the end of the event, at the end of the campaign, than before the campaign even started. Whoever was running his campaign 4 years ago should be up on fraud charges. Because whatever advice he took 4 years ago, whoever was counseling him 4 years ago should be ashamed of themselves for taking his money. But that's what consultants do. They take the money and they rush to the people who have the most money, because that's how they can make the most money. That's the consultant game, and that's what these politicians do. And John Brunner is a very nice businessman who wanted to get into politics and was wrapped up in the whole consultant world. Eric Greitens is now making millions of dollars. He is raising millions of dollars. He is the I don't want to say the establishment favorite. I don't know what he is. I don't know where he's raising all this money from, but a lot of it's from outside of the state. But a lot of people are jumping on the Eric Greitens bandwagon, which is fine. But I'm not so sure that if this is your first experience with Eric Greitens, this childish, petulant call, this doesn't do him any good. Now he's trying to raise money off this. It's almost like, even though he's right, he's wrong. 314-969-KTRS, 1-888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS. Let's go to Max. Max, you're on the Big 550 KTRS.
Good morning. I don't have a dog or a horse in this race either. Eric Greitens is going to be on Stephen Colbert tonight.
Yes, I mentioned that.
I predict he'll do quite the. He'll come off quite well. Greitens, as you know, has a killer resume. He's young, war hero.
Yes.
That's why he's getting the outside establishment Republican money, and supposedly the Democrats courted him. We have a lot of time. Greitens can Missouri hasn't even had the rollout except for people who know of Greitens.
Right.
When Greitens is introduced in commercials, it's going to be something else.
But he's going to be introduced with this audio.
I think it won't be forgotten about.
No, it will not be.
Brunner is going to look bad, the worse on this, in my opinion.
I think they both. This is a situation where they've both knocked each other out.
Well, yeah, it looks bad, but there's a whole lot of time to go yet.
Look, Peter Kinder and Catherine Hanaway are sitting there in a movie theater eating popcorn watching this movie.
Both, I'm sorry for the cliche, McGraw, and happy Thanksgiving before we go.
Yes.
They've got a whole lot of baggage, them too.
Max, thanks for the phone call. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Bye.
You got it. Jeffrey and Bob, hold on. We'll get your thoughts here in just a second. 9:35, Big 550, KTRS. The pick.